Hello everyone. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to create low poly rock assets for any of your personal projects. So to start, we're going to just select Geosphere in the top right corner. And we're just going to make a geosphere in the middle of our environment. And then we're going to press G to just turn off the grid. We're going to want to make sure that if we go over to parameters on the right side, that our segments are turned to 1 and our base type is set to Ecosa. Then we're just going to want to right click on our object and we're going to want to convert it into an editable poly. Then in our with our selection tool, we're going to select polygons, and we're going to select all of our objects' polygons. Then we're going to want to go over to our polygon smoothing groups, and we're just going to want to clear all. That just gives us a nice low poly look. And for our next step, we're just going to click off our polygons. We're going to go to the Freeform tab. Under Paint to Form, we're going to Shift. So with this tool, we can just sort of just modify the base shape into how we kind of want it to look. So we're just going to pull some of these verts in up top, bring this down, just give it a sort of odd shape. There we go. So we have our low poly object there. So there's a few more things you can do with this. If you want to just quickly add some more rocks, you're just going to want to click on your object and shift and drag just to create a new object. Then we're going to go into our modifier list and we're going to search noise. Then for our scale, we're going to want to set it to around 10. You're going to have to probably play with it a little bit. We're going to set our strengths to 50, 50, 50. Then now, the benefit of this tool is you can just change the seed and it'll change the shape of the object. So you can get a bunch of different rock assets however you really want them. We can sort of modify our scale a little bit just to get more of the shape that we want. So something like that. And just change the seed. Then there, that's a good object. And then we'll make one more. Just shift drag that over. And then now all we have to do is just change the seed. That one looked good. So let's say you get an object like this, right? And you have a vert that's kind of going inside and you don't really want that. The simplest way is to just click back. First you want to collapse it. Just right click and collapse all. Then you want to select vertex. I'm just going to pull that vertex down just so we have all geometry even. Or you can do it the way we did before by just going paint to form and shifting and just modifying the verts a little bit just to get them how you kind of want them. So now we have 3 unique rock assets here. We're going to go through the unwrapping portion of this, but just with one of the rocks. So we're going to want to search up unwrap UVW in our modifier list. And now with this, the simplest way to do this is we're going to open the UV editor. And we're just going to click and drag over all of our polys here. And we're just going to click mapping and we're going to flatten map. And you're going to get this little dialog box and you're just going to want to leave this the same as it is. Hit OK. And that's just the most basic way to just unwrap it quickly. So for the next part, we're going to export this object out of our scene. So we're just going to collapse all of this down into its editable poly. We're going to click the rock. We're just going to export selected. We're just going to overwrite this one here. Name it whatever you feel. Then save. Then we can replace it. So you're going to want to make sure your geometry is the same. You have no animation on it, no cameras, no lights, no audio, no embed media. And just in the advanced options tab here, just going to make sure your FBX file format is FBX 2018. And hit OK, and we've exported our object. So the process is the same for each of the other objects. The the next part of our tutorial is going to be the texturing part of it. So now we're going to move on to our texturing portion of our tutorial. So we have an empty Substance Painter file here. We're just going to go to File, New. Our template's going to set to PBR Metallic Roughness. We're going to want to import a file. This is the export that we created from 3ds Max. Then we're just going to open that. These settings are all okay. Depending on how high resolution you want it to be, you can change this. But we're okay. So we're just going to hit OK. It's going to bring our rock into our viewport here. So to start, everything's already fairly well set up for us. We're just going to go into layers and go into our smart materials. And I downloaded this texture from Substance Share. I'll link it in the description of this video. It's a good texture, just for simple rocks. So we're just going to click it and drag it up into our layers tab. Bring that up the top, and you can edit this texture however ways you want, because it does have a little bit of detail in it. So if you don't feel like you need that, you can hide some of the scratch damage or the edge notches. Just give it a more base color look. But I like that. That's good. So that's the most simple part of it. And then we're just going to want to go back to our texture set settings and scroll down below channels into our mesh maps. We're just going to click Bake Mesh Maps, and all these settings are okay. Output size 1024. You shouldn't really have to change anything in these tabs. I'm just going to bake the default material mesh map. Then once that's finished and our rock's looking pretty nice, we're just going to want to go to our texture set list and just change the name of this material to just to low poly rock matte, just for material. And then we're going to click File, Export Textures. And in this tab, everything should already be set fairly well. Just make this your document size, PNG. You're going to want to change the file you export it to. So I'm just in my export folder here. Just make a new folder, rock material, or we'll do rock textures. Click on that, and we're going to select that folder. We're just going to export those textures. Then we can open the folder there. And now we've been given a base color, height, metallic, normal, and roughness map. And you're going to need these for when we import this into Unity, which will be the next part of our tutorial. So now for the final part of our tutorial, we're just going to bring our rock asset into Unity. So wherever you exported the FBX file, you're just going to want to click it and drag it into your assets folder in Unity. So we can hide that. And then now we have the FBX model in here. So you can just click and drag that into our scene, just so we can get an idea of how it looks without the textures on it. So then you're going to want to open up rock textures. Well, you're going to want to make a folder for your textures first. Then you want to go into that folder. And then wherever you exported the textures from Substance Painter, you're going to want to just highlight those and just click and drag them into the rock textures. Now you're going to want to make a new material. And you can just name this rock material. Now, the easiest way to do this is to just go into the top right corner over here and just lock the inspector, so you can click on these, the different maps, and it won't change the inspector. So we have our base color here. We're just going to drag that onto the albedo. Our height map is going to go into the height map. our metallic map is going to go onto the metallic, and it automatically sets this to 1, so you're going to want to pretty much lower this all the way unless you want any sort of metallic features on it. And then bring in your normal map, fix that, and then finally our roughness map goes onto the detail mask. Then now we have our rock material. All we have to do is just click and drag it onto our rock. And there we go. We have our low poly rock asset in our scene, and it's looking pretty good. So thanks for watching.